Welcome to Ninon Speaks. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. Number one, we have a guest on, which I never pre-interview my guests. So I really don't know much about Lisa, but a few little things kind of leaked through the passageway somewhere to me, and they all sound very amazing. That's the first great thing. Now, the second great thing, I've always wanted to get Ninon Speaks out there in the world. Well, AJ, who is right next to me, who is my producer and also my co-host, she has an incredible husband called Jeff, who is also part of producing Ninon Speaks. And he's just got together everything for Roku. So now, today is the first day we're on Roku, and we're out there to, I don't know how many people. Isn't that amazing, Lisa?
Amazing, amazing.
I'm so excited. I don't know what to do. AJ, what am I going to do? I'll tell you what. I'm going to pass myself over to you, AJ, and you take it because I don't know what to do.
Oh, congratulations, Ninon. This is exciting. I'm so
news.
Excited, Lisa. Thank you so much for your presence tonight, being here with us. We have a very special VIP guest in the building, Ninon, with us, Lisa Lindo. She is the Queen of Sundance and an award-winning manager and producer of literary clients and IP in the film industry. She's also the CEO of the wonderful Rocket Surgeon Productions, and she's also the Vice President of the incredible Milan International Film Festival. I'm so thrilled you're here, Lisa. We love you. Hello.
Thank you, AJ. That introduction was amazing, and our guest is amazing. And I'm just looking at her, and I'm thinking to myself, how could you have such a calm look to yourself and be able to have all these positions and take care of everything? Lisa, how do you do it?
Well, that's a really good question. You have to just compartmentalize everything and always take what's right in front of you. Really be here, really look at you, really hear you, really appreciate this moment. That's really all it's about.
And that seems to be what you do with all you do. I'm very Sundance. I have been attracted to Sundance for many, many years. I was trying to get a program of mine. It was called Voices of Tomorrow. And I was trying to get it into Sundance, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have AJ at that time. So it was totally impossible. So if she'd been around, I guarantee I would have been somewhere near there. But I wanted to present this program I had. It was a Voices of Tomorrow. It was teenagers from the age of 12, a little younger sometimes, to 18, a little older. I did it for 16 years. I won a tremendous amount of awards. But it wasn't, trying to be all big and get out there and get my stuff out there. It was more for the younger generation to get their voices out there. And I never could do it. So I've been fascinated by Sundance. So maybe you can explain us a little bit of what it is and what the attraction is. And I think it's more for smaller films, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, no, not at all. Ooh. So I started going in 1993. So my information is vast on the festival. And at the time, I had just started Acme Talent and Literary, my own agency, after having worked at Triad and TV packaging and having worked at ICM, and then with other agents from big agencies, William Morris, et cetera, that came to join us to start the agency. And the first year I went, it was very, very different. The streets rolled up at 10 p.m. There were people had parties in their condos, but it was nothing like,
like COVID.
Yeah, right. But even just comparing it to pre-COVID, I mean, now hundreds of thousands of people descend. It is packed. It's almost like a festival. And from back then until now, there were many years where there were satellite events. And it sounds like what you're talking about, what you'd like to do, is a satellite event. So there's a main street where a lot of all the normal part of the year, the festival is actually spread out over many cities, but in the town of Park City, which is the main hub, on Main Street, there'll be an art gallery and a fur store and a ski, whatever, and all those stores disappear. And they change their shingles and they become a YouTube lounge or an Amazon Prime lounge or all different kinds of, places for different people. And I have over the years helped different brands and panels and IP find a home on that main street as satellite events during the festival. So I'd be happy to be supportive in that anyway. And I think that's fantastic. I have lots of friends that run really good lounges up and down the street. Now, of course, COVID just blew it all up.
Yeah,
and so this
that
next
got
year,
wrecked.
yeah, right. It blew my mind for sure, right? Everything that all my plans were blown up. But this next year it's going to be live and virtual. Now, virtual was kind of great, Ninon, because
Yes.
it's a screening which would only have a few hundred people per theater over
Yes.
2 or 3 screenings over the festival. Now had hundreds of thousands of views from people all over the
And
world.
that's amazing. And that to me is absolutely incredible. So we can reach everybody, even because, basically when you look at all of us, we're actually all the same. We're all people. We talk sometimes a different language. Maybe our skin is a different color at times or wherever. But basically, if you basically come down to the nitty gritty of it, we're actually all the same. We've got the females and the males.
What's interesting about that is traditionally, even though we're all the same, and even though we, if you look at the stories of Shakespeare, like every story's been told, right? There's man loves a woman loves a man kills a mother. There's only so many versions. The Bible pretty much covered it, right? There's only so many versions of every way you can tell a story, and it's just the technique you use and how you deliver that story. So at Sundance, it's not so much that they're smaller films, but they are generally independent films.
Yes, that's probably not the word I meant properly.
Right, because some of the biggest stars are in them.
Yes.
At Sundance, the biggest stars, and these budgets are, 8 million, 10 million, 15 million. They're not, little $100,000. They're significant productions that sometimes are actually even made by studios eventually, or get picked up by studios in some way. Yeah. But they start out as an independent venture. And the thing about Sundance is that Robert Redford, when he first started, I'm looking down at your face instead of into the camera. I'm sorry, but I'm looking right at you.
Well, I'm looking down at you and at the camera. I'm trying to do both. I'm very confused.
I know. We'll go back. So Robert Redford thought, I'm an actor. But there were so many actors who could be directors, and there were so many people who could tell the story. And if they could just go to nature, maybe they would have an opportunity to really think out the way they want to tell the story instead of being in the what we think of as Hollywood and networking
and also never being able to really get in. There's always this sort of the fight to get into Hollywood. That's a battle in itself.
Yeah, or a woman simply trying to be just an actress, right? So they gave an opportunity where they created these Sundance labs where people will come in with a concept and they'll train them all the way through the process. They'll surround them with experts in the field. And then those people become alumni of the labs and quite often then are completely supported by the system and get into the festival, depending on the project. And the films at Sundance, and at lots of festivals, but specifically at Sundance, tend to handle difficult material that wouldn't just get picked up by a studio. So I think they're identified more. And really, the only reason I'm called the Queen of Sundance is because I know where all the parties are. So I'm going
to call if I need to go to a party. But also, I've noticed, I live in Vegas, as you know, and a lot of people go, oh, my film, my thing, my stuff, whatever it is they've got into Sundance. They are so excited that they got into Sundance.
It's one of the best in the world.
But is it tough to get into it? Because I always get these remarks like, oh, I got into something they're so excited.
Yeah, I wish I had the numbers for you today, and I apologize, I don't, because this is another year. But thousands and tens of thousands of submissions, and just a little tiny few get through because it is so prestigious, because it is so well respected, because the chances of you getting distribution after you have your film at Sundance, if you're handled your Sundance time correctly, are so very, very high. And because it is a place that'll showcase everything from LGBT stories to indigenous people stories to youth and gang violence and just some things
they can tell the story. A story that should be out there, and Sundance is giving that opportunity to have something, and that's probably why they can only choose so many, because they only have so many they can choose, otherwise it will go on for a whole year. So they choose a few, but those few that do get in, at least we understand and we know how other people live, or how other people do things, or how other things are made, or how other actors are and how they act compared to the American actors. So you've got all this different stuff going on, and they're able to show that.
People from all over the world submit their content. And so you're looking at a lot of subtitles. Sometimes the filmmakers are afraid to go back to their country afterwards because of their documentary that got into Sundance. I mean, the stories that get to be told there are beyond, from animation to documentaries to late night horror kind of. They have a whole midnight section, and then they have an entire section that's just new frontier, that's just VR projects where you put on a headset and you're inside everything. And they've had New Frontier for at least a decade, I think. And that's an incredible section that other festivals didn't even have at first.
No,
So it gave a showcase to people to be able to tell these kinds of stories. And if you haven't put on a headset yet, Ninon, oh, do we have to get you in a headset? You're in Vegas. I have people there that have headsets. In fact, they're some of the best in the world. And I would love to introduce you to them. You will love them. And seeing a film immersed in the film. In fact, there was one that Robert Redford was in with Reese Witherspoon. To get into one and you're inside it and it's happening all around you is a completely different experience. It's beyond, and they do things with like smell-o-vision, and they feed you sometimes, and there's all kinds of, it's all kinds of interesting. And the thing about the festival too, and then we can move off Sundance, but the thing about the festival too is that there are so many events. So it's networking from first thing in the morning till first thing in the morning with no sleep.
Kind of goes around the clock. You got into this.
Like
How many years have you been in this?
Well, I started Acme Talent and Literary in '93, and that's the first year I went to Sundance. So that's a long time. But before that, I was in the industry. I started out working for at Paramount Studios, and then I was in legal affairs, and I went from there to work for Norman Lear. And I was there during Princess Bride and Fried Green Tomatoes and a lot of
what a movie
projects.
that was. Yeah.
And Marta Kaufman and David Crane worked there because at the time, Norman Lear was in charge of a massive amount of the industry. He was the largest owner of magazines having to do with the entertainment industry. He owned Act 3 theaters. He had offices in London and New York and LA and Toronto and Nashville. He had Act 3 Music. He had Act 3 Publishing, Act 3 Films, Act 3 Television, and Marta Kaufman and David Crane were part of an entire floor of TV writers that worked there for him. And that's where they created Dream On and then Friends.
Which was absolutely amazing. I actually, fortunate enough, I met him a couple of times because I was very well connected with Loyola Marymount University. And sort of, and when you meet somebody like that, an icon like that, that's absolutely amazing. You look at them, and you think, where'd you get all the energy from and the brains, and how did you do it?
Now, today, and I worked for him in '89.
Yes, I mean, but you have the same thing. You are actually putting yourself in that same, because you're in an arena and you've got it very well covered, and you know exactly what you're doing at every minute of the day, I would imagine. But also, you enjoy it, you love it, you kind of thrive for this.
Yes, really speaking of,
I planned Norman Lear's birthday, by the way.
I'm sorry?
I planned Norman's birthday when I was there, and I got the Suzuki Youth Orchestra to play for his birthday, to play Happy Birthday. And if you've never heard the Suzuki Youth Orchestra, the little kids are literally, they learn almost by sound, and they're told, if you don't have it ready, just put the violin under your arm and stand there anyway. And it was so adorable. They played Happy Birthday for him. It was the cutest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. AJ, you were going to say something, and I think
go ahead, AJ.
It's fine. Thank you so much, Lisa. I really appreciate that. I did want to say, Lisa, speaking of amazing things, Lisa has an amazing giveaway that will drop you into the battle for Forever Universe. Over to you, Lisa.
Lisa, what is this?
All right. So I used to be a big deal agent. But these days, I'm a manager, and I represent authors and screenwriters and intellectual properties and companies and guide them through whatever it is they want to do. And my partner in Rocket Search and Productions is also my long-term client. I've known him since the 90s. When I had Acme Talent and Literary, when I first joked, I had so many sales of his in 1 year, 6 figures, 7 figures, that he joked that my company was actually Acme Talent and Ed. So he has a series of books out now. They are called the Battle for Forever series. The first book is Alexander X, and the second book is Ancient Among Us, and they're both narrated by the great and powerful Will Wheaton. So they are bestsellers and award winners, and the third book is on its way to hitting the market. So today, if someone goes to battleforforever.com, and they sign up for free, not only do they get a free novella email to them that is, and that's it. All you're going to get from us are actual content. A novella that sits in the universe that is a standalone novella, but I am giving away five copies of the audiobook to anybody who signs up to the first 5 people that sign up to the website and follow the author on Twitter. The author is Edward Savio. Edward, AEDWARD SAVIO. And if you simply tag him in a tweet or DM him and say, hey, I signed up on the website. I was listening to Lisa on NinonSpeaks. I would love my Alexander X copy.
Well,
the first 5 will get a free.
We can help you even more with that, AJ. Absolutely. If you send us something, a poster or something, you can send AJ, and we'll put it up on our Facebook, and we'll put it on Instagram. We can put this up on everywhere. Little avatar.
We'll give you the book cover.
Whatever you want, but as long as they can go to, as long as in that is where they can go to.
Absolutely, I'll give you all the data.
But give that. Yeah, give the photo and we'll put it out there for you. Absolutely.
And they will love it. We are entertaining conversations about developing it into another medium as well. So people really, really do.
Oh, we'd love to do that for you. That's what we do. You know, we try to help people. So now we know what we can do for you. We can actually help you. I love that. What I was going to ask you, Lisa, is what are you doing now? What is your project? You're sitting there on our show, and you're surrounded by a lot of stuff to do. What exactly are you putting together right now? What is going through your head that you know, with the COVID and everything going on and everything happening, and now you've got all this time, and you because I know you have a project. I know you have something. What is it?
Well, the 3rd book in the series is one of my main focuses, although I handle a lot of writers. I handle Edward Willett, who has his own podcast called World Shapers, where he interviews award-winning best-selling authors from around the world. And I have a series of his books called the World Shapers series that I love, that I would like to see turn into something more than just books, that is female-driven and really cool and funny and brilliant and adventurous, and also really, really focused on getting this 3rd book done, which is really important. We also have an incredible clothing line that I represent, and it's called Canacity, and it's all these gorgeous images of women that are from all different artists, and they're all fierce females, and everything from Ruth Bader Ginsburg to original artists doing line art, doing vector art, doing graffiti art, doing anime, everything. And that can be checked out at thecanacity.com or Canacity.
I like when you said both ways. Yeah, when you said graffiti, since you said the word, is also an art out there. And everybody thinks graffiti is a big and bad thing. But no, graffiti is not a big and bad thing. There's lots of, yes, it's very inspiring. So I'd like to get that out there, because I think most people think, oh, graffiti, get away from it, get away from those people. That's not true, is it?
Well, we use that style. And we put a beautiful heart in every image, but every artist has their own way of presenting a woman. They're gorgeous, they're sensual, but it's nothing's something I wouldn't want to wear in front of my mother. And we have masks with the artwork all the way across. So who wants to wear just a black mask all the time, right? And we've got beautiful t-shirts that are made out of hemp and all kinds of different products. And I'm really, really proud of that collection of art, because we tithe 10% to a different charity on a regular basis. Most recently, it was, I'm going to blank. It's the Grammys charity, Music Cares. That helps musicians who've been hurt by COVID and lost all their, because I can't perform in public. So, but regularly we tithe to a different charity, each new group of images that we come out with. And I love that company. And for those who know what NFTs are and are all aware of that world, our first NFT went for 2 ETH, which is a big deal. And it was a piece of art, from the line. So we're really looking forward to be also rolling out more of those. And we did that in conjunction with CryptoPop, who is one of the leaders in the space of presenting art. CryptoPop with the O is a 0, because these kids do things with numbers. I don't know what they're doing.
They abbreviate. You've got an NDA or an INC, and you said, what are you talking about? all these abbreviations, and I'm like, oh, talk about behind. Well, but I can always use an excuse. I'm older.
But
So
to really answer your question, the thing I'm really focused on is getting people to know about the Battle for Forever. That's really the most important thing to me right now, because I can see us working on that together for a really long time.
Okay.
And for people who have read the first two books, if you were to Google Edward Savio, the first thing that comes up is, where is book 3? I mean, audiences are Googling, when is book 3 going to come out? When is book 3 going to come out? And working with Will Wheaton, I'm kind of a Trekkie, to be perfectly honest. And so to get a chance to, we've represented different people over the years. When I had Acme Talent and Literary, we got Seth Meyers on to Saturday Night Live. We put Marissa Renoker in Hairspray. I created Paul Franklin Dano's film career. He had only been on Broadway, and we put him in his first film, which was at Sundance, LIE. And so over the years, I represented a great deal of talent, but I always loved people booking Star Trek gigs. So this is really nice to work with.
You've put yourself into an arena where it's very prosperous, where it's definitely something's going to happen. Look at you. And that makes it exciting. But, for our audience, how did you get into that arena so that they know a little bit of what, especially the younger generation, how, you started with Sundance, and that was many years ago. You were quite young then. And how do they get into all this? And what should they do to get into this business?
Well, I'm 56 now. I'm about to turn 57. So when but I was still very young, but I was a CEO the first year I went to Sundance. I had already started Acme Talent and Literary. And before I worked in the industry at all, I went to UCLA, and I never thought I'd be working in the entertainment industry. I was going to be a lawyer. I was going down that track. I actually got a job at Skadden Arps, Slate, Meagher, and Floman, was working for them when Paramount offered me a gig. Wow. And so the idea of working on a lot, like in the movies.
But that was because of your intelligence. That was because you knew what you were doing. They could see and knew what they wanted for them to help you.
Yeah, I'd also worked as a paralegal undergrad, so I already had paralegal experience.
You already had all this understanding. You already had all this knowledge.
It's really about the gigs that you get undergrad if you're in college, because then when you graduate, you just flow right into the workforce instead of hey, I'm here and I've never worked anyplace.
Okay, so the younger generation that are in college, they should really mix with the kids there that are going somewhere, and they should mix with the kids that are going in the direction. If they want to be a lawyer, they want to be a dentist, they want to be a doctor, mix with those people to get to where you need to get. I mean, you
never know where your path's going to lead you, Ninon, right?
No.
You might you think you're going to go here. I thought I was going to go to law school. And then when I worked at Skadden Arps, the lawyers said, you'd have to hang out with people who argue every single day. Does that sound good to you?
No.
I suggest running quickly and getting away as fast as you
sneakers
can.
On.
Yeah. So I took their advice, and also the idea of just being on the campus of a studio with Klingons walking around, because they were literally shooting a Star Trek film, and the commissary full of actors, just like in those movies I saw growing up. I was like, wow, I can't believe it. And I would take this route so that I would see the Paramount gates. I would take this drive so that you saw it all the way on the road to drive into the front gate, even though
it's amazing. I've been on Paramount.
Yeah, I love that lot. So that was, and then I was hooked. And then after that, but really one of the biggest things I did, Ninon, was I went from there to Norman Lear, and from Norman Lear to Triad. And when I was at Triad, I realized the other assistants were extremely competitive and not nice. Here I was suddenly inside an office. I didn't go through the mailroom. Wasn't an outside. I went right inside because I had a lot of experience. And my boss was a partner in TV packaging, and he didn't want some idiot out of the mailroom. He wanted someone with knowledge, someone who could run his Malibu home and throw parties for him and read material and give him feedback and run his calls and
understand him, like a personal assistant, understand him
and read his mind. Yeah. So I went right in, and so that did not go over well with the other assistants. And I realized my friends that I worked with at Paramount were all a team. We were all working in the same direction, working for Norman Lear. We were all a team. We were all working in the same direction. So I started a networking group then, and I started gathering people together, and you had to be nice or you couldn't come. You had to believe in responsible programming and making a difference in the entertainment industry. That was our creed. And I would have a sit-down dinner for between 80 and 100 people every month. We had more than 600 members, and I rotated the list. And the first time I was in the trades, it was about networking groups, talked about this one, and then 2 columns about me in Variety, because it was all about the quality. And I'm responsible for marriages. I'm responsible for mergers, because if you put a bunch of really smart, great people together and they're also really nice, and we were that age, it's all going to happen. So networking. Yes. Networking and creating your tribe of the kindest people, the smartest people, gathering people close, whether you're meeting on Zooms regularly or in person when that's smart.
Yes.
That's the real secret sauce. That's why Sundance is so attractive.
And also dive into what you just gave to the younger generation out there. You know, sometimes you're going up a path, as you said, to be a lawyer, and all of a sudden you take a right swing and like, oh, I really like this. You did, but you still kept what you were doing though. You still needed your legal stuff. You still needed all that. You still
all the time.
Yes,
I use it all the time.
I know you do, because you have to, number one. But number two is that you know the answer. I mean, yes. Somebody can be talking to you and you turn around, well, I know the answer to that one. AJ, did you want to ask a question?
I just wanted to say thank you so much to Lisa Lindo. She is our special VIP star celebrity guest here of the film and film festival industry and in Hollywood. And I love how you shared the beautiful philosophy of the, you know, that great energy, the good vibes, positiveness. And Ninon, I'm sorry, we have to wrap it up, but I just want to thank you, Queen. You are just absolutely beautiful, Lisa. Ninon, take it away.
Okay, well, let me thank Lisa, you are amazing, a tremendous amount of knowledge, but I wouldn't have expected anything else from you anyway, because of what I've heard about you, and you live right up to it. You're amazing. But also, Lisa is a very hard worker. She's very concentrated on what she's doing, and she's very forthgoing, and she knows where she's going, what she's doing. So that's the game to play. Know where you're going, and be honest, be truthful, and do your job. Don't shove papers around. I want to thank all our audience out there, but don't forget Roku. Oh my goodness, I'm elated. We're absolutely amazing. We're all over the world now, AJ, and that's because of Jeff and AJ and the whole team. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on. You've just given such a great story, and thank you so much for coming on.
I look forward to meeting you in person in Vegas one day.
Or we will, definitely.
Sundance.
Yeah, the Sundance. There you go. I love it. But make sure AJ's in town too.